And welcome to the 10-Minute Life Coach Podcast. I'm Jay Clifton Payne, a personal development coordinator, and I assist people ready for improvement in developing their personal and professional goals into tangible, focused, and achievable plans of action. One of the tools I use is this podcast, which allows me to give you a quick 10-minute life lesson or personal development lesson, if you will, that you can take along with you as soon as we're done and apply it to whatever you need to do for personal or professional development. And if it's the lesson that doesn't seem like it goes directly into what you can do, it's something or that's something you're really already doing, then it's also a way to reinforce that what you are doing is working towards the right path of positivity. For more information about this podcast, the mission of what's going on, and past episodes, a lot of episodes so far, go to the website 10minutelifecoach.com. So here's the thing. You are qualified to do the things you are qualified to do because essentially someone allows you to do it. You can do anything you want to if you put your mind to it, if you believe that. And that sort of works out, except there are some things that you can't physically do. If you are short like I am, I cannot play center in an NBA. That was something I really wanted to do when I was 15 years old. And since I didn't grow past 5'5", it's something that I was not qualified to do. I wasn't really that good anyway to play at all. I'm also a male, so not only am I not qualified to actually give birth to a child, I cannot physically do it. So there are things that physical limitations can keep you from doing. There are things that your actual skill sets can keep you from doing. But qualifications are a sort of a quasi thing. Because you go to school and you go to trainings, you go get certificates to be qualified in things. And some of those things you can naturally do based on your own instincts. Now, what you're working for in your qualifications and in your certifications is the fact that something or someone, a test or an evaluator, can vouch for the fact that you can actually perform the duties that need to be done. That way, when asked if you can do these things, they can take that piece of paper or take that personal reference and roll with it. If you say you are a brain surgeon, that's one thing for a conversation. It's a totally different thing when it comes to going into and operating on someone's brain in an actual hospital. If someone just came up with enough kind of BS to go through a cocktail party and explain the brain as a brain surgeon or a brain specialist, they can probably get away with it. If all of a sudden someone had an aneurysm and they were asked to operate on that person on the spot, it would be a bit harder to kind of bluff their way through that qualification. Now, why are qualifications actually important? Well, if you work in the industry like I do in personal development in that industry, it's based on the fact that the person doing the teaching, the person doing the seminar, the person who is speaking out to the other people has some semblance of knowledge in what they're talking about. They're not going to essentially lead a group of people who are in dire straits off a cliff. They're going to direct them towards the safety of something good and a way to actually be improved personally or professionally. That's sort of what you're looking for. Now, any person with a voice and the ability to put together a few words can go out there and say they're a personal development expert. You don't need a real qualification or real certification to do that. The expertise and the qualification really comes from the results that you give, and a lot of it comes directly from the words that you speak. Since a lot of those words are recycled, it doesn't take much to be an expert in personal development, assuming you actually can say the words in coherent sentences. Now, for my qualifications personally, as a personal development, professional development coach, if you will, where does it come from? It does come from me stating, hey, I can do this. Number one, I state that I am the quote-unquote expert, not necessarily guru or the be-all, end-all, but, I know enough about this to work people through. From there, I can go to my body of work, which started out small and got much bigger. I've been writing on personal development since being a teenager, and writing and publishing via the internet and on and various other publications and books as well since early 20s. I've also worked with various people to help them get better and worked with people to help me get better. The coaching I received poured out into the coaching I give to get things better, do things better. Those work out better. Now, things I'm also qualified for, since I'm going to go ahead and brag for myself, is I can make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So that means I'm qualified to do some basic around the house or short order cook type stuff. Am I qualified to cook for a large gathering for catering in that sense? Probably not. But if you need a meal for a family and it needs to be whipped up pretty quickly, I can do that. I have the qualifications to make a meal in a sanitary environment that can be eaten by mass amounts of people. A large mass amount of people in a short period of time in a very controlled environment, I don't have those qualifications for. I don't really have a need to cook for a large fancy dinner either, so I'm not so much worried about that. The big thing about qualifications comes from people telling you what you are qualified for without really knowing what you are qualified for. And to make sure that that works out to your advantage, you first have to know what you are qualified for. So, flapping your wings does not qualify you as an expert on aviation because flapping your wings does not allow you to fly. Having a degree in aviation, knowing something about aerodynamics, is something that does qualify you to talk about aviation. Now, just because someone thinks you can't do something doesn't mean they can make the qualifications for your abilities. If someone doubts your ability to do something and you believe you can do it, and then you go on to show that you can, that pretty much overwrites any problems that you have with the qualifications because you have proven them wrong and in the process proven to other people what you can do. So the biggest issue with qualifications is the fact that you have the ability to do what it is you are advertising you can do. You may not have an ACE certification for fitness, but if you know enough basic fitness principles and aren't doing anything super strenuous or super crazy, you do have the qualifications to help someone who is in need of assistance in losing weight and getting in better shape in doing that. You have the same access to tips and tricks that they do, but what you also have is the fact that you've probably done it a few times, you've seen it happen a couple of times, and you have the ability to coach them through the things that are hard to get through. Trust me, I've been working on my weight loss journey for quite some time, and it's been a bit difficult, but with the help of some friends who are in better shape, who are giving me coaching and throwing things out, it does get a little better. They are not personal trainers, but they are qualified to tell me how to work things out because they have some answers. They don't have all the answers. They don't have like the full book of thoughts and ideas and different techniques to go through. They just have basically what they have done, what they have seen, what they know. But that does qualify them to help me out in that journey. What qualifies me to give this here lesson? Oh, like I said, I've been doing this for quite some time. And most of the words that I've been writing and talking about don't come off as crazy. They come off basically backed by some semblance of science and some semblance of just what's out there in the know, just kind of the general knowledge, plus some things I've learned from personal work. But that's enough about me. The biggest issue with qualifications is making sure that when someone says you are qualified or you are not qualified, they are giving you a real badge of truth. But the real person who can say that you're qualified for something or not qualified for something usually comes down to you. If you think you're good enough for something, you meet the criteria for something, and it's not something that really does need a lot of documentation, a lot of different degrees and various tests to see you do, then you're probably qualified. You may not be the expert, the top expert, the big cheese know-it-all on the subject, but you may know enough to make it work. If you have a bit more knowledge than another person, then to them, you might as well be a genius. You might as well be an expert. So that makes you qualified to help them get to where you are and push them along to go even further they want to. Don't let another person instantly disqualify you from what you believe you can do. Review your own ability to get it done. Review your own qualifications to make it happen. Only you can say whether you are truly qualified or not qualified for most things out there, because everything isn't about a certification. It's basically about the ability to get out there and get it done. But you have to be honest. If you can't get it done, you need to go ahead and disqualify yourself from the beginning. But if you can get it done, if you can assist, then go ahead and metaphorically hang that shingle and see how much help you can do. And thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the 10-Minute Life Coach podcast. Very simple, and it's done. If you enjoyed the information we gave out to you, we ask that you go back to wherever you found this podcast and leave a review. If you just kind of stumble upon it, you can go to the website 10minutelifecoach.com and find various places to subscribe to the podcast. Hopefully we're on the best feed for you. If not, send us some feedback and we will find a way to get onto whatever service it is you'd like to hear us on. For more information about anything going on 10-Minute Life Coach, the website, of course, 10minutelifecoach.com. More of my projects are online at my personal website, jclevelandpayne.net. The letter J, Cleveland like the city, Payne.net. And to contact me, the best email addresses to send out to are info@jclevelandpayne.net and or jclevelandpayne@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of the 10-Minute Life Coach podcast. It's a journey that's been many years in the making, and we keep on doing our best to get to where we can be the best that we can be for you. And I should stop saying we, because it is my podcast. It is I. So the best that I can do for you in personal and professional development, if there's something I can do to really help you out, stop by my website or send me an email. And, of course, really big, we need you to come on back next week for the next edition of the 10-Minute Life Coach podcast.